All right, let's see if this works. So, a convergence of synchronicities has got me feeling as though this is the right time to make this video. And I think we're up to 28 or 29 different looks into the what and how and why of things that I know things about. The what, the how, the why of certain systems that appear, and how they're presented in media very often stands in stark contrast to what those who participate in these activities learn when they're there. Hey man, how you doing today? Yeah, but you know what? I want tomatoes this year, so we got to get a little bit of... Good day to be working outdoors, though. I don't see the truck. Anyways, so I'm sitting here where I'm sitting because this is it's certainly a place of worship, and it's a church that I was active in the praise ministry of for a pretty long time, as far as how long people can generally hang in a praise band with all of the things that happen there. You don't see the things that happen on Sunday mornings usually, because people got their mask on. But on the second floor of that building right over there is where I was asked to, I think my youngest child might have been about 5 or 6. And we'd been going here for a little while. And there was a new preacher, young guy, married. And he was the right guy at the right time for the wrong stuff to get a foothold. Always liked the man myself. None of these videos are about what I like. None of them are about what I like. None of them are about trying to hurt another person. It's not about me getting revenge on somebody. Journalism isn't always get back like it seems to be. People getting mad about something and all emotional, and they lose the muse and begin to live in a place that is just amusement. They lose the muse. And for people like me, there are kind of two muses. There's the, I think that camera's starting to tip, just a sec. There. Yeah. That's better. The man back there is getting some bugs took care of, it looks like, or fertilizing. But anyways, we were in the music ministry here, and it began when that particular young preacher, and there were a lot of people like us that had young children at that time. Churches that aren't mega churches have population curves. And I was approached, and another man was approached, both of whom were musicians and singers and stuff, and asked whether or not we'd help out with starting something that wasn't occurring here yet, and that was the contemporary service. And we both said sure. And it came together pretty quick. We gathered together an acoustic group, men and women, young people, and I don't think we ever had a name except for the praise band. For a number of years, that service thrived. And by thrived, I mean people showed up. We never really succeeded in getting anybody to sing or even move in any way, shape, or form. And certain folks, I think, were only there because they felt obligated to be, and they sat in the back of the room like you do when you go into a place for the first time, a church. You don't want to make waves or be noticed. Well, anyway, a succession of really nasty, hurtful things occurred that led to us leaving this place and embarking on another failed adventure to find a church home somewhere else. You might see that sign back there. That stands for Piedmont Instrumental Classes for Kids. It's another one of these 501c3s here in Eden, run by the same lady. Same lady that runs or is on the board of the Historical Museum, Preservation Society, anything with the word Charlie Poole in it, P.I.C.K. Those are the ones that come to mind. When you're married to somebody that used to be the mayor, you've already established a lot of connections. And sealed with a kiss, the connections that can be helpful or unhelpful, depending. And I was an early and continued volunteer, and later I did stage setups for the sound man for a number of years. It was excellent. I had a really good time at the Charlie Poole Festival, met a lot of cool people, and when this P.I.C.K. program was begun, a man I know who used to MC at the Charlie Poole Festival called me up and told me to expect a phone call to see if I wanted to be the guitar instructor in these classes, which he just declined to accept. He figured I'd be the next guy to get called, and I was very shortly thereafter called. And being a public school teacher and, one income family, I've never declined work when it came my way. And so I said, well, what does it pay? And I was told what it would pay, and that would help. And I thought I had the skill set for it. And plus, I was going to be teaching guitar to kids that were already taking art from me. It seemed like a win-win. And I did that right up until COVID. And it was fun. There was a woman who is on the faculty at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro music department, who's very involved in traditional Scotch-Irish music in this part of the country. Really brilliant gal. I think it's Dr. Blanchard. She and I were the instructors in the first season of P.I.C.K, the pre-COVID season of P.I.C. And we got paid, and we got paid on time, and we were left alone, and we were allowed to develop our own curriculum. And these are all things said in praise of the program. Okay? And it should continue. I'm not one of these people that's binary about things. If a little thing bothers me about somebody, no biggie, right? Especially if it can be cured with just a simple acknowledgement that it occurred and probably won't happen again. But there are people that you cannot talk to about anything within your skill set. Look up the Dunning-Kruger effect if you want to learn about this extremely common psychological manifestation of stupidity. We see it on television, we see it on the news, we see it from the pulpit. People speaking about something with authority about which they really don't know very much. Okay? And I learned through my experience with the P.I.C. program a little bit, and to a much greater extent, the whole Charlie Pool Festival, that this is a one-person initiative. And those of us who observed its nascence, who were performing musicians, who'd set up PAs and live sound, who had to deal with unforeseen weather events affecting music, who'd played festivals, maybe for large groups, who'd built musical instruments or repaired them, or who had a real business sense and could conceivably obtain better talent or more interesting talent for less through our own connections. And my experience with these 501c3s is that wisdom isn't welcome. Donations are welcome, newspaper articles are welcome, but input isn't. It's not. It never has been. But I'm not faulting the programs, okay? Because I'm one of these people that doesn't have to get everything he wants in order to think that something is worth getting behind in some extent, right? So I want these things to continue. I just hope that they can get over it's like tuberculosis to me, this long wasting disease that just gradually eats the original good intentions away and things disappear. It's okay to get a little bit of what you want. And so these things should continue. And you know, my volunteerism and participation in these things actually, it bore fruit for me. It did. I have a record out from 20 years ago. It was the year of the Charlie Pool Festival. I was doing stage setups with Jim Eanes. He's a great sound man, local guy, really good musician, also great singer. He would be my go-to guy for live sound in this county. Matter of fact, Brian Smith and I got the county commissioners to give him an award a while back, a decade ago when Brian was still living, because no one really ever said thank you to Jim for all of the free live amplification and sound and stuff that he's done, that I observed him doing over the years. I don't think he might have got a card that said thank you. You can put that card in your bird cage. It's just a piece of paper. Do something with your walk that reflects gratitude to people. Well, it wasn't happening, so I leaned in and asked the county commissioners to do this thing. And they know I'm the kind of person that'll let people know if they say no. And so they did it, and it was great. We played some music there, and it was lovely. And I hope his wife enjoyed it. But one year when we were setting up there at the Charlie Pool Festival, it was the year that John Hartford was supposed to headline. And I was really looking forward to that, because I've been listening to John Hartford's steam-powered aeroplane record since I was a college freshman up in Potsdam, New York, around 1977 or 8. It's a great record, and it's really funny. And I couldn't wait to see this man live. He was legendary, his live stuff, real character. But John Hartford passed away just before the festival. I don't know how long before the festival it was, but it wasn't that long. And there they were without a headliner. And amazingly, the fabulous banjo stylist from the same place I'm from. He's from the Syracuse, New York area where I spent most of my school years. Tony Trischka. He's great, you know. When people think of their top banjo players, they think of people like Tony and Bela Fleck and stuff. So anyways, he came in, you know. He flew in, emergency, rescue the festival. And like a lot of people that grew up where I grew up, you do what you say you're going to do. You don't tell people things just because you know that's what they want to hear you say, and then betray them later with, "Oh, I'm sick. My kid was here and we got into something and I lost track of time." Middle school excuses coming out of grown-ups, please. Oh yeah, so Tony, right? So at one point we're sitting in this big trailer and the stage crew were invited to come down and eat. And we did. And there was barbecue and sweet potato pie and sweet tea, you know, all that Andy Griffith stuff. And sweet talking. Everybody's got that smiling faces smile on. Remember that song? And Tony and I get talking, and he hears my voice, and he immediately says, "You're not from here, are you?" Which is amazing, because that's what everybody else says. And I said, "No." He said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Mostly here and Liverpool, New York. Those are the two places I've lived in the longest in my life." He said, "Liverpool, outside of Syracuse?" "Mm-hmm, the same one." He said, "I grew up in Syracuse. I'm from Syracuse." Syracuse people are going to get this. I said, "Prove it. What's the best pizza place up near SU?" And he said, "Varsity Pizza." And I said, "All right, you're from Syracuse." It's the right answer. And at least I haven't been there in decades, but it sure was the best pizza back when I was up there busking in 1980. And cheap. You could buy slices that would fill you. But anyways, we got talking. I said, "What else they got for you to do besides play music?" And he says, "I'm doing some graveyard tour thing tomorrow." And I said, "Oh, I know where you're talking about. I cut the grass up there." This is a true story. I used to be the guy that went up and cut the grass at Charlie Pool, Posey Rohrer, and whoever the hell that guitar player was at the graveyard up there near the Spray part of town. I did that for a number of years, and then my lawnmower broke, and I ceased to do it. But I was doing that for a while. And I said, that won't take long. And I said, well, what's going on after that? He says, I'm going home. I'm going to get something to eat and go home. And I said, how'd you like to come over to my house for lunch? I got a lot of cold cuts. And you can't get a good deli sandwich. You can't get a proper deli sandwich in the South. You just can't. You got to go to the store and buy stuff and make it yourself. And I had that stuff. People from New England know. The delis are all up there. German people, Jewish people, Italian people. We got the sausage. Okay? The Northeast has the sausage. I don't care how all you Danites feel about that. Well, I guess that was enough because he said, okay, I'll do that. But I also mentioned, actually, before he answered, I said, I got this song about my dad. Would you listen to it one time while you're over there for lunch, and if you think it's got any merit, maybe improvise a banjo part that you'd let me use on it? I'll give you $100 gas money just for that. He said, we'll see what happens. Well, anyways, he came over to the house, and we had lunch, sandwiches and stuff. And then I played him this multi-track recording that I was in the process of actually mixing. You know, it was all separate tracks in my 8-track that I had back then. I give him some headphones. He had his banjo out, and he listened to it. And I think by the second verse, he was playing along with it in the room. And then the refrain rolled around where there's a little bit of a change, and he just glided right through it because he had. I'm thinking that Tony had already ascertained what the tonal center of the song was. And once you do that, you're in, okay? Be careful, but you're in. And if he ever hears this video, I hope he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what he did was he stopped playing, he pulled a headphone off one ear and said, roll that back and hit record. I went, okay, you sure? Yeah. And I did. And he played a lovely accompanying part. Really attentive to the dynamics of the song. It's a serious song. It's called Daddy Only Did the Best He Knew How. And I also had an instrumental piece that was deriving from the same piece of music, instrumentally, but with radically different mixes going on and stuff, and a much shorter duration. So anyways, so Tony Trischka, I'm blissed out, right? He plays this lovely thing. It gets done. We get through, it fades. I wait. Psh. Roll that back. What, you didn't like that take? No, I like it. Can I do another track? Yeah, sure can. Rolled back, assigned him to another blank track that was left in there, and he did it again. And then he put his banjo in the case, and I walked him out to his car, and we shook hands, and off he went. And I've never seen him since. I sent him, I'm very certain I sent him an MP3 of the mixed down songs when they were completed, and indicated on what record they were going to end up. And they did. And it's a record called Finding Grace in America. Because all of my work since 2002 in the arts has been about documenting. It's as though I'm writing an epistle to the whole world. That you don't have to be perfect yet. to get saved. You don't. You don't have to go to the old money church and make friends and feel like you belong. You don't have to go to the oldest church in town, which is right up the street. If it were wintertime, I could see it, and associate with the old money people and feel like you belong there to get to heaven. You don't have to go to the Moravian church a few blocks down west of us, where they have a lovely food bank that just is persisting, God bless them, with some really committed and lovely servant-hearted people involved in that. You don't have to associate with a servant church until you feel like you belong in order to go to heaven. You don't have to volunteer for powerful, wealthy, often secretive people who, in the long view, aren't in it for anyone else. Even kids. That's advertising. It's advertising. The product is the person who set up the 501c3. That is the product. That is what the not-for-profit arts, music, or benevolent organization is exclusively about, is its founders. They're founders. I always have to connect to the other church. And I gotta wrap this up. I've been letting these things go too long. Good Lord. The beast is everywhere. And the oldest, utterly not-for-profit, you will not profit if you get involved in the Ponzi scheme that Lucifer set up and that this planet got flooded out for. And Lucifer was slick enough to carve things in rock to survive the flood, to pass along the curse, the opportunity to choose the curse. If you don't know about any of the historical context in which Scripture happened, you haven't read Scripture. It's all there. So be really careful who you let reach in your pocket. You might find yourself betrayed again and again and again by continued overtures to like something when it's past its shelf date for you. And you've gotten nothing but a card or a text, but never what you've hoped you would get. Which is forgiveness for whatever it is that prevents them from being in your corner as much as you were in theirs. I don't love my town. I love the souls in this town. The souls of the kids I taught, the souls of my neighbors. The souls that I think are just 18 inches, the distance from your head to your heart on average. from salvation. Get up and walk 18 inches.